Good Kvitel Rabboisai. I love the energy. Starting off the year with such energy. So how do you know that if a kohen, whether he's a kohen gadol or a kohen hedyot, if he's not wearing the proper amount of clothing, the 8 clothings for the kohen gadol or the 4 for the kohen hedyot, let's say the kohen gadol is wearing 7 and the kohen hedyot is wearing 3, and they perform the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, it's possible. The son of Shimon Bar Yochai, Domakro, v'chogarto Yisom Avneit Aaron Uvanov, v'chavashtalem Igbois, v'yisalem Kuhuna. That should be the Kuhuna, the Chukas Olam. Bizman shebigdeim aleim. We're holding Daf Yud Beis. I forgot to say where we are. Yud Beis. 10 lines from the bottom. Now we're already 5 lines from the bottom. When they are wearing the Bigdei Kuhuna, then they are considered kohanim. Ein bigdeim aleim, ein kunasam aleim. They are zorim. A kohen gadol, you hear what's going on here? A kohen gadol who's missing one of the 7 begadim, of the 8 begadim, he's wearing 7. He has a halacha like a Yisrael. He's missed the Yisrael performing the avodah, and we know that a Yisrael who performs the avodah is possible. Crazy. That's the Gemara. So you tell me you have a pasuk. We learn from a different place. Why do you need a pasuk? And we're going to have 3 of these questions. Why do you need a pasuk? We have this Gzeir Shava. The Sanya. How do you know that if a kohen drinks 1 revius of wine, if he performs the avodah, it's possible? And then it says in the next pasuk, it says V'lo Musu. There's misa on it. Ulahavdil ben hakodesh uben hachol. Yain v'sheich al teisht. But look what it says right before it says Chukas Olam. It says V'lo Musu. There's the death penalty for that. So, but the next pasuk Yud, Ulahavdil ben hakodesh uben hachol, that if you drink and you perform the avodah, it's chol. It's considered not a kaddish the avodah, it's chol. So we see not only does he get the death penalty, we're trying to see, okay, so he gets the death penalty, but maybe it's a good avodah. No, you have to redo it. It's chol. How do you know that a kohen who's not wearing the proper amount of clothing, or he didn't wash his hands and his feet in the kiyar? So how do you know if you didn't wash your hands and your feet? Minayin, how do you know that the avodah is possible? Talmud Leiba Daf Yoches on top, Chai, Chuka, L'Gzeir Shava. Over here it says V'chogarto Oisam Avnei. This is referring to you have to wear all the begadim. I even wore this. This is for the next year also. It works out well. But this is the gartel, the whole thing. L'chukas Oilam says Chuka. Chuka. And then it says V'rochatzu Yudehem. You have to wash your hands, your feet, v'ragleim, chok oilam, chok and chukas, the same kind of halacha of chukah. So the question is, if I have chukah, I have a gzeir shava. What's a gzeir shava? I have 1 word over here, 1 word over here. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, when you have these 2 words, the chukah and the chukah, and from these 2 psukim, this is what you learn from it. So why in the world do I need a pasuk? I would think it's only a particular type of avodah, that if a Yisrael does it, he gets misa. What type of avodah does Yisrael do that he gets misa? It says Rashi, it's avodas gemar. Avodas gemar means, here's the Rashi, it's anything that's the final avodah. So when we have the 4 avodas, what are they? Shchita, Kabbalah, Halacha, Zrika. So Zrika, the last final one, that's one that you're liable for the death penalty. There's also Aktara, Rashi says. There's a few different ones that have to do. Nisach hamayim, v'hayayin, pouring the wine. And the water's coming up now in Sukkot, on top of the Mizbeach, there's a hole, you pour the water. That's the final avodah. That you get misa. But a type of malacha that a Yisrael does not get misa for it, maybe if he performs that malacha, it's not mechal davodah, it doesn't pass the avodah, kamash malach. It does pass. Everything that Yisrael does passes. Says the Gemara, how do you know that it's somebody who drinks wine? How do you know that it passes also? I learned Gzeir Shava. So now I'm learning wine from Mechusar B'Gadim. Ask the Gemara, Votanu Lahavdil Bain. But what do I do with the pasuk? I already have the pasuk Lahavdil. Says the Gemara, and not Lahavdil Bain Konosively. I learned before the pasuk. It's before he knew about this Gzeir Shava. He forgot about it. Then he remembered, says Rashi, so he has the Gzeir Shava. So now that I have Gzeir Shava, I don't need the Pasuk Lahavdil. But the problem is, if you follow the Sugya in the beginning, we were trying to learn from the Gzeir Shava, we were learning somebody, a Kayin who's not wearing the proper amount of clothing, we're learning it from the one who drinks wine. And now we're doing the opposite. We're learning the one who drinks wine from the Mechusar Begadim. Says the Gemara, no, you're right. At the end of the day, we're learning from the Pasuk. But what an Gzeir Shava? Because I don't know what to learn from the Pasuk. I'm not sure exactly what type of Avodah. So, how do I know that there's no difference between Mechusar Begadam is Mechal every type of Avodah in the world, every Avodah, not just the final ones. They're also, somebody who drank a little bit of wine, passes every type of Avodah, let's say even Kabbalah, Hoilacha. We have a Gzeir Shava. It's actually a 3-way Gzeir Shava. I don't know if he showed you, but here, Yayin has the word Chukas Olam, and then the other two we had over here, the wearing the clothing and the washing the hands and feet, they both have Chak. All three have Chak. Says the Gemara, so once I have this Gzeir Shava, Chuka, and tells us all the halachas, Yisrael, Mechusar Begadim, they pass the Avodah through and through in all types. So why do I need the pasuk Lahavdil? Says the Gemara, you're right. Look at the Rav. The Rav would never give a shir. He used to give a shir klali. A lot of people would come. So many people would come that they needed to have a maturgamon, a guy standing next to him, that he would scream the shir out. He wouldn't give us such a shir once he drank wine on Yontif night. So he wouldn't give the shir all the way to the next day. Past the next day. All the way through the next day. Mishum shichros. How did he know this? Because he learned it from the pasuk. Since it says lahavdil ben hakodesh uben achol, he's teaching Torah. In Torah, you're being mavdil ben kodesh lechol. You don't teach Torah when you have a little bit of wine in your system. Says Gemara, akatim nafka, masam nafka. Again, we're going back. Why do I need the Gzeir Shava? I have a pasuk. That somebody, a kohen who's not wearing enough clothing, he's possible for the avodah. Because it says in the pasuk, "V'nosav b'nei Aaron hakohen b'kihunoi." Aaron hakohen. What is Aaron hakohen? We know who Aaron is. Why does he say again Aaron hakohen? B'kihunoi. He's in his kohen shaft. He's still a kohen. Limit al kohen gadol shlovash bigdei kohen hedyoid v'avad. Somebody like Aaron hakohen who's not wearing the shmoyde begadim of a kohen gadol. Wears the simple god. Avodah psula. Imahasam, says the Gemara, Hava Amina Hanamila Avodah de Ma'akva Kapara. I would think this dafko, when it comes to an avodah, that's the main part of the forgiveness. What's the main part of the kapara, Rabbi Isai? Zriko. Maybe a dafko over there, he passes. Hava Avodah loy Ma'akva Kapara. Loy. Now, this is interesting. Rashi says, just going to throw in the Rashi here. What does it mean? An avodah that's not Ma'akva Kapara. He says like putting the fire on the mizbeach. Why is it not makiv the kapara? How do you finish something without the fire? So Rashi says, Sharei yesham eish yardam min hashamayim. There's a heavenly fire, and I don't need you to light the fire. Don't do me any favors. I would think that doesn't pass. Kamashmal it does. As the Gemara v'kadim hachanavka, I have another pasuk. Baruch b'nei Aaron hakoyanim v'sanasachim. HaKoyanim kiyunon. It has to be, again, the word koyanim tells us that the kohen has to be with all the shmonim begadim. And kan the kohen hedyoid shalosh big the kohen gadol v'avad. What if you have a simple kohen who decided to put on, instead of 4 types of clothing, puts on 8? Avodah psula. You're not allowed to go too much. You're not allowed to go too few. You got to be just the right thing. Whatever the Torah tells you to wear, that's what you wear. Not more, not less. I would think that if a kohen, instead of wearing 4, he wears 3. I would think instead of 4, he wears 3. That's a problem. Or let's say a kohen gadol wears, instead of his shmonim begadim, wears the kohen hedyoid begadim. But if a kohen hedyoid wears the shmonim begadim, no, so he's overdoing it. Maybe he shouldn't passel. Loi kamashalon, that passels. Brand new sugya. Stadar Rabbanan. Hayum Yerushalayim. What if it's too long? Mesulakim, they're too short. Meshuchakim, they were rubbed out, they're older clothing. Va'avad, and he performed the Avadasik Sheira. Avodah is kosher, okay, but the Avad, but it's still kosher. Lava Sheimich Nasayim is wearing 2 trousers. Shnei Avneitim, 2 short shirts. Chiser Achas, or he's missing one of the begadim. Yiter Achas, Stam, he put on his undershirt. He had a bandage. Now, bandage is a problem of what's the problem? Chatzitza. His clothing was dirty, or torn, ripped. Comes Shmuel and says, if it's long, it's kosher. If it's short, it's possible. How can you tell me if it's short? It's possible. We learned that if it's short, it's kosher. Listen to this. If you take your belt, if the Kohen takes his belt and brings up, here we even have I don't know if it's a real, here, like this. This guy, right? Remember him? He takes all the length of the thing and he puts his belt, we know what it is. You take the last hole in the belt and you put it all in there and okay, now you're good. Then it's kosher. When it's short to begin with, it's the wrong size. It's 10 inches too short. But if it's really long and they just lift it up and put a belt on it, then it's kosher. I don't care if it's long, I don't care if it's short, it's possible. Ravuna went to this place called Argiza, Ramalei Baruch Bezichna, so the son, the owner of the hotel, he had a son over there at Talmud Chacham, and he says, is it true that Shmuel said that if it's long, it's kosher, and if the begadim are short, it's possible? But Tanya Misulakim Sherim, wait a minute, I understand. We learned that when it's short, it's kosher. Amarle, you already know the answer. Bami no dahi, you don't know. Besides that question, that's not a good question. Why? Because we already established this difference. If it's long, just he made it short through the belt, or is actually short. Actually short is takapasul. Elo l'rav kashya. Now, what's the problem? According to Rav, if it's short, if you make it short and you do it through a belt, so it's considered pasul. So if it's considered pasul, then if it's considered with a belt, it's considered. Why is it considered pasul? Because it's not even there. It's considered cut off. Omar Abzera Rav Chodatani. So Mela like this. Rav said it's possible even without it. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Ela Rav Kashya. What do we do with Rav? Maybe you'll say the pshat is like this. When it's long, it means it's long, but it still has a belt. Ve'avneit megos gayas. And now Rav is saying, we're saying a new chiddush here. A megas gayas chiddush. That is that when you take a belt and you lift something up and you shorten it with a belt, it's literally as if you cut it with a scissors. Elam sulakim kashya. But at the end of the day, what are we going to do with the shorter one? If you use the belt, so now it's considered completely cut. If it's completely cut, then it should be pasul. Omer Zera, Rav Chodatani, he only said one halacha. He didn't say two halachas that long is pasul and short is pasul. He only said one halacha. Mirushalim shesilkamei, they avneit ksherim. One halacha. If it's long and you use the belt to shorten it, then it's kosher. What does he hold when it's short? Maybe he holds it's possible, but on the long one that he used the belt, it's kosher. At the end of the day, if you have a longer garment like a robe and it's dragging on the floor, it's machlokes tanai. So if the clothing is long, it's machlokes tanai. So we have now a sugya on tzitzis. It says in the pasuk that you should put tzitzis on 4 corners. Arba v'li shalish. So 4 comes to exclude 3. Maybe it comes to exclude 5. 3 is in between 4 and 5. 4 is in between 3 and 5, right? 4, and then above 4 is 5, and below 4 is 3. So why do you say that it comes to exclude 3? Maybe it comes to exclude 5. Shadachasaba comes to include 5. So why I say 4? It comes to exclude 3. But if you're coming to exclude 1, why did you decide to exclude 3 and not 5? Because at the end of the day, 5 does not contradict 4. Within 5 you have 4 corners, but 3 doesn't have 4 corners. So therefore 3 is out, 5 is in. And I have another brayso. So this is a contradiction. We said 5 is okay for tzitzis, and now we're saying v'loy chamesh and 5 is not good for tzitzis. So what's machlokes? The mar savar yosem command the isidame, umar savar command the lesidame is more okay or more is bad. How do you say it in English?
More is less.
More is less. Oh, more is less. Beautiful. That's how you say it. If more is less, so 5 is less. 5 is missing a whatever. It's not good. Says Gemara lo the kule almo. Kimandi isidama. No, everybody's going to hold that the 5 it's considered there. B'shani yachas. What's the machlokes? The Rabbi Rachman asher techasaba. It's extra. Asher techasaba is extra, and then it comes to tell us that you mechuyev b'tzitzis. V'yedach. What does it come to include? You have to see your garment for the tzitzis. So therefore, a garment that's made for the night, it's machlokes showing what does it mean. That doesn't mean that he wears it at night. It doesn't mean it's dafka for the night, like pajama. Okay, but it's something that you can't really see at night. It's part from tzitzis. Maybe it means that the person wearing it can't see. He's blind. He can't see. When it says you're covering yourself, it says it means anybody that covers himself with a garment, even a blind person. So the reason why this is coming to exclude the night and not for the blind. Why would I exclude night and not the blind? Because the garment of a blind person, other people could see it. He can't see, but others could, so therefore he's chayv b'tzitzis. No one can see the night garment, and therefore that makes more sense to pater from tzitzis. Okay, so this is in parentheses, we won't even explain. Easy sugi now, bad. We're going to take this word bad, which means garment, and we're going to learn from it like 5-6 halachas. Bad, shushal butz. It has to be a garment made out of linen. Bad, shiu chadashim, has to be brand new. Bad, shiu shizurim, has to be, this is for the kohen, right? Bad, shiu shizurim, it has to be weaved, what? Woven, thank you. A woven, each thread has to be woven. Bad, and now that I know it's woven, how many threads it has to be woven from? Bad, what? Spun. Spun is better than woven, okay. Bad shu chutan kafel shisha. Has to be made out of 6. How many are tzitzis made out of?
8.
No, each string. 8. Open it up, let's see. Bad shlo yilbash al choli ma'im. So the Gemara is darshing the word bad as levad by itself. So you shouldn't wear your MDY socks with it. Nothing. It has to be just big day kuna. I understand linen. Butz in that makes sense. But that halacha doesn't make sense. That you tell me you need brand new, or newer. We learned even today. We learned that rubbed out or older clothing is kosher. And that it needs to be made and woven from 6 different strings. Why? Where did you come up with that one? Bad chad mashma. Bad is mashma, just a singular one. Bad means is singular. So how do you come up with 6 strings? This is the pshat. Begadim should never be bad. All these clothing of the kohen that says the word bad, tzrichim shiushal butz, they need to be from linen, chadashim new, shizurim, woven, spun, shiuchutim kafel shisha, made from 6. But yesh mem lemitzvah, yesh mem la'akev. Some of them are just like a Hiddur mitzvah, and some of them like being new. Okay, so it's better if it comes out like Benny's. He gives every one of his employees every single day they get a fresh new thing from the dry cleaners here in Israel, which is not so common. America also a lot of doctors, they wear the new scrubs. It's a Hiddur mitzvah. Maybe doctors is mamash and ma'akiv, but they need sterile, yeah. But the rest of them are taka ma'akiv. Some are ma'akiv, some are not. You're right. Chodesh is not ma'akiv. Says the Gemara, who told you that the word bad means linen? Maybe it means something else. The way cotton grows, the linen grows, each seed has one shoot, very good, and then that shoot, it doesn't split, nothing. It's just one shoot per seed. As the Gemara, Amra, maybe it means wool. Amra miftzal. The way wool is, it splits at the end. Says the Gemara, kitanami miftzal, but linen also splits. Only when you bang it nice and hard, then it breaks up. How do you know that the bad means linen? That means linen. Pare pishtim. He brings a pasuk from the Navi. Pare pishtim by the Kohanim. Yual Rosham. They should have linen on their head. They say pishtim again. Linen. Yual Masneim. Liyachkuru b'yazar. Tomorrow we're going to see what liyachkuru b'yazar means. So this is a common problem in Shas that we deal with. How you bring me a raya from the Navi, from Yecheskel? So what happened until Yecheskel in the Beis Hamikdash? How do we know then that was linen until Yecheskel came? Says Gemara Tamech. So what about the other place? Hold on, Rav Chisda. That what? If a person is a mumar, he doesn't believe in the Rebbeinu Shalom. Ariel Basar, he doesn't have a bris milah. Why? Because his brothers, let's say, they can't perform that in the Beis Hamikdash. In the Beis Hamikdash, l'shar seini achaboy Yecheskel minolan. Until Yecheskel came, it says in the pasuk l'shar seini by Yecheskel. But until Yecheskel came, he's a navi. What happened from Moshe Rabbeinu all the way to Yecheskel? Ella Gemara Gemirla, like everything else in Shas. Moshe Rabbeinu taught us this halacha. He heard it from the Rebbeinu Shalom taught us the halacha. It's not made up halachas. These are halachas that Moshe Rabbeinu received from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Yecheskel brings a pasuk. He brings an asmachta. Hachinami Gemara Gemirla. We received it in tradition, and he just brought a pasuk to back him up. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful year.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDAF.com.